This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Right.
But a lot of people would know you in this space in particular, obviously as Frosk, and obviously let me just kind of give a little preference here. This is the rap song, which is brilliantly made, by the way. Just play this just for a second. This is you in the middle as Frost. Let's go play about 30 seconds of this.
Night tights. You're about to get frostbitten.
Get him!
Fasten your seatbelts. It's gonna be a
Bumpy ride.
All you geeks and gamers better stop jerking off to me, okay? I smell like burnt hair, Julie. That isn't stopping you. I fuck you like you're retarded because I think you're all retarded. I see the chat. I see you in the chat. Now jerking off to your girl. Frostbitten.
Go,
Now press F if you're not jerking off. Frostbitten.
Go, Frost!
Party like tights.
Get him!
Frostbitten.
Go,
Now
Frost!
press F if you're not jerking off. I see the chat. I see you in the chat. Hit an F right now. Jerking off to your girl.
What? First off, I know you didn't make that song, but the material there and the execution of that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, just brilliant stuff.
Thank you. Props to Perry Chan, who, I mean, when I listen back to the actual like interview portion of Frosk, you're like, the song is there. Like the cadence or whatever I adapted trying to like figure out her character. It was a little bit of a sing-songy, like when I was trying to get her physicality down, it was a little bit of like a white rapper type, but it's like also she's this feminist. She's like not super feminine. So I just like the movements I would get down for her would not be feminine. It would be sort of like just from how she wears her clothes and like the process for figuring out how I was going to do her as a character. It's such a strange process. It's like you spend like hours just listening to her, like listening to her speak. Okay, like what words is she kind of exaggerating? What kind of accent does she sound like she already has? Like, how can I exaggerate this even more for comedic effect? And then I would just listen to her with the sound off. I'd be like, how does she move? How does she carry? How does she hold her face? Like, how does she hold her body? How does she do her hair? Okay, she's got a tattoo on her neck. All right, I can exaggerate that a little bit. And like, how can I take what's already going on with her physically and exaggerate it a little bit slightly?
So how did that come about? Like, was it something that you wanted to do, or did somebody on the show be like, "Hey, can you do this?" Like,
she had her little like viral moment,
right,
where she was on where she did that whole like, oh,
on
I want to talk
G4,
on G4. I'm like,
effectively killed the entire brand.
oh,
Right?
she did a great job.
Yeah.
Where she was supposed to talk about Red Dead Redemption. She's like, well, actually, I'm just going to talk about sexism in gaming. And it was this moment. And again, like I said before, I'm like very inspired by unstable women. And it was such a moment. I was like, I saw these clips. I was like, who is this chick? I was like, oh my God, she just reminds me of almost who I would have become if I had stayed on my path after college. Like if I hadn't like learned any better. Like I was like, man, I kind of like almost see a little of my former self in this chick. And I'm just like, who is she? What is she known for? What's her sort of history? Like, how did she come to be in this position? I'm like, oh my God, she's just grandstanding. She's just using this as an opportunity to take advantage of the fans to promote her own agenda, which is what we see and what we talk about so often on Friday Night Tights and like the death of our beloved franchises, taking advantage of an established audience, but using it to push like your own specific agenda. And I was like, well, this doesn't fit with the what people love about G4 and X Play. And she seems like an unstable woman. And I was like, I think I could get a blonde wig. So the wheels are already turning. And then I think either Gary from FNT messaged me or I messaged him. And I was like, did you see this? And he's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Okay. Yeah. All right. It's going to happen.
Awesome. So you spent hours like literally studying her and just figuring out her mannerisms before it went live, huh?
And yeah, just exaggerating certain things. Like I noticed the way she said qualified sounded a little funny. And I just was playing with it. I'm like, it sounds almost like she's saying qualified. So then I would like in my impression of her, I said like, I'm not qualified. And that became like a thing, like people putting like koala emojis and just listening, be like, what is she exaggerating? What can I exaggerate a bit more? Because if I were to, there's no way, I guess for me personally, to just do a straight impression of somebody. Like I have to tweak some things up
Right.
here and there, and sometimes an impression can morph into something like totally different. But I look at somebody and I go, what's funny about them, and how can I make it more exaggerated and funnier? And I also liked God, the Frost character also became someone who would sometimes secretly let out if she was, like, attracted to somebody else on Friday Night Tights, or, like, she would secretly let out her true, motivations, like, maybe she just is really lonely, or maybe she just nobody would sit with her at lunch, and, like, letting little truth slip. I don't know, and which I don't know. I don't know her personally at all. I don't even know if she's seen the impression.
Oh, I
I
guarantee she's seen the impression for sure. Well, so in
But she
addition
never
to,
blocked me, which
well,
was
you
kinda
should reach
cool.
out. I think that'd be one of the best things that she could possibly
I think
do
I
is
tried to. There was a time where Quartering was looking like he was gonna get to interview her, and it was looking like it was gonna happen, and then she just bailed. I definitely tried reaching out, though.
yeah, I would love to interview her just to kind of talk about what she's done. Well, you did
She's
Frost
been
and
in hiding, like, where is she? Is she in the same place they put Matt Lauer? Like, I haven't seen her.
just off she goes. But in addition, I thought this may actually have been funnier. I don't know if people have seen this one, but you did Greta Thunberg as well, and your Greta is spectacular.
Oh,
I wanted to kind of pull this
this
up and
was
just
great because I remember, like, after Greta kinda had her and I was like said to the compound booth guys, I'm like, "We need to do a blue background just like how she looked at the UN." Because I remember she had done this big viral speech, and I remember I was, like, waiting and waiting for SNL. I'm like, "Surely SNL is gonna parody her. Someone's gonna step up," and, like, they weren't. They just weren't. Nobody was, and I was like, "Well, fuck, like, this is easy enough to do." So I bought there's, like, a wig store near Herald Square, near where the studio is. It's, like, shitty low quality wigs, but I sometimes go there if I need something, and I bought this, like, red extension. I know Greta has, like, dirty blonde hair, but I just bought this, like, red extension, like, that I braided in just to do the long braid. And I had the other stuff, I just was, like, stuck a porg in my fanny pack,
right.
and I'm just spraying hairspray, like, just another little thing that's, like, hypocritical because 'cause I'm sure she's taking, at
Well,
some point, private jets and shit.
right. Let's watch about 30 seconds of this just so people can see how on this was.
What do you have? What is? Did you bring a fanny pack, Greta?
This
Okay. Would you like some cough syrup? My buddy has some.
this is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Right.
You have stolen my childhood with your racist and sexist humor,
Oh, this is us.
pornographic interludes, and excessive t-shirts for sale on the Compound Media
Are you
website.
saying they're excessively priced or they're excessive?
So
they're
this
excessive.
impression was, like, similar to what I do to F&T, where I cater it to that audience. I was doing a Greta impression, but, like, catering it to In Hot Water, like, the show that I mentioned that gave me my first, shot on Compound Media, it was that show where I did the impression. So it's like, it's typical Greta-isms, but mixed in with the fans who watch this show. So at one
Right.
point, like I say, because it's a running joke that you refer to, like, Black people as basketball Americans. So I say that in my impression, like, there's, this constantly talking about the basketball Americans. So if there are things in that impression that don't really make sense, it's because it's inside jokes, like, for the
Right.
watch that show.
Well, but you got to know your audience, and that's the
Yeah.
brilliant nature of it too. But I mean, you're so you've done obviously you've seen success with Greta and Frost. Do you have any other you're pretty damn good at these impressions.
Thanks.
Uh,
It's such a specific, like, getting ready to do an impression like this is like getting ready for a roast battle. It's so particular. Like, you spend so much time writing the specific jokes, and, like, sometimes, my husband Frank will help me write jokes for these characters too, because it's just sometimes if it's a time crunch and someone does some wacky shit, and you're like, "Well, I gotta bang out an impression, like, in a few hours," like, he will help, like, write together. Um, and then it's just watching, like, figuring out what do I have in my, like, what clothes do I have? Do I have to order something to run to Party City? And, it is similar to getting ready for a roast battle where you're like, you focus so much on one specific thing, and then it's done, and it's not something you can really use again unless you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna bring this character back because they did some, additional wild shit." But with a roast battle, it's like you work so hard for so many hours, you do the thing, and then it's like done. It's like you sail a
Right.
baby into a river, and you're like, goodbye, baby. It just which is different than writing for your set jokes that you're going to use for months or years.
Right.
But it's exciting. It's really exciting. It feels like you're running a sprint.
But what do you think about this? Leave us a comment down below. We read every single one of them. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button because you have found your home for common sense in the gaming and entertainment worlds.